Okay, everyone. This is Jason with another Canvas tip of the week. This week's tip is with regards to if you're new to using Respondus. Respondus is a service or technology that we have integrated with Canvas. And basically, it is a separate web browser for assessment purposes. Just like right now I'm in a web browser to log into Canvas itself. Respondus Lockdown Browser, keyword browser, is a separate browser that gets integrated into our LMS for the sake of restricting our students from going off to other websites and doing other things. And along with that service, it has a way of recording the students' video environment, per se. In other words, there's a Respondus Monitor. It's still artificial intelligence. It's not a live proctor. All of this is artificial type of work. But for a very rudimentary administration of a test within Canvas, it does the job. So right now, I'm in one of my shells. Probably my shell has a lot more buttons on the left than yours, but the thing I want you to see is that the browser option right here is listed. I thought I had turned it off. Yours may be turned off, so let me go into navigation and make sure to simulate it, how it would look like in your space. All right. Bada bing. So right now, if you look at the left, right now, there is no lockdown browser, okay? So typically, let me go back to the beginning. No lockdown browser. Let me move the window down a little bit. All right. So once that you've already created a quiz, and in that video, that's how to create a quiz and get all set up, you need to do that first. So I already have a quiz listed called Space right now and whatnot. But if you do not have a quiz, you need to create a quiz first, get the questions set up, typed in or inputted, then go ahead and enable Lockdown Browser. So right now, this video is regard to how to enable Lockdown Browser and attach it to a existing quiz. So the first step is, if the button on the left is not visible, you come down to Settings, click on Settings, and then at the top, you see these not three, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other tabs. Under the Navigation tab, you need to scroll down until you see Lockdown Browser. Yep, there it is, way down here at the bottom. Hopefully your buttons here are more in an organized fashion, more alphabetical and whatnot, but you'll just come down and click on the vertical 3 dots, say Enabled. It comes up into the top part of the list, and maybe you want to bring it up a little bit higher. So this button is not visible to students. It's only visible to us, the faculty. So please don't worry about that. And then you need to scroll back down and click Save. Once saved, now you can see here, here's Lockdown Browser. You click on Lockdown Browser, and within the dashboard, you may get a splash screen where it talks about, hey, welcome to Respondus Lockdown Browser, and it explains the product a little bit, and then you just have to say yes or confirm or thank you or continue, and you eventually will land onto this dashboard. So if you notice, for both the browser and proctoring. The proctoring is more of it used to say monitor, but if you notice the little icon for a webcam, that's what we're referring to about recording the students' visual environment while they're taking the test. So in other words, the students would need to have a webcam in order for you to leverage this other technology, additional option, to record their space, their room or whatever, while they're taking the test. So that way, during the test, if somebody else is to walk into their space or maybe talking off to the distance, that will be recorded. Respondus Lockdown Browser does not record what they're doing on the machine, as it's recording. It will record if you enable the proctoring option, what's happening in their room, in their space. Okay, so here's my quiz called Space. Go to Settings and just choose Required Lockdown Browser. It's not necessary for you to put in a password, totally optional. It's more preferred that you put the password with the test versus with the browser setting anyway. Here under Advanced Settings, Required Lockdown Browser to view post-exam feedback and results. There's some other options here for you. If you have a student who wishes to use an iPad, they can use the iPad. This is probably a good recommendation to lock the students into the browser until the exam is completed. So you might want to select that as well. If your course requires a student to go to an external website, maybe a couple of our IT classes for programming or information, or even maybe our foreign language classes where they need to look up something, a translation, then you can allow those domains, those web domains here. This is the option here. Okay. If you're teaching math or science, if you want to enable the onboard internal calculator, you can. That's an option as well. And I think that's probably about it that you will need to select. Okay. Down here, where for proctoring, you can say, okay, hey, require Respondus monitoring, and it gives you the disclaimer saying, hey, Respondus Monitor is an automated proctoring system for Lockdown Browser, and then you can read the rest of the disclaimer, and then say continue to Respondus Monitor. And that's it for that. And then you have some other settings where during the students' testing, they will be required to, kind of like test out the camera, presented with instructions that you may have written up here, say additional instructions, guideline tips, kind of preview. You can give a preview and say like, okay, this is what, gives you an idea of what the students will be expected to experience when they take the test with Respondus Monitor. Okay. This other option here at the top, which says allow instructor live proctoring for this exam. So if instead of Respondus doing the viewing or type of recording or flagging or attempting to flag a session for potential violation of academic honesty, you can select this, and you're going to be the one who will be doing the monitoring and not Respondus. Okay, so you got two options. Typically, most of our colleagues would just use the first one. Maybe our math colleagues may be interested in doing this when they have a schedule for a online class and want to, do the proctoring themselves, and they can. And you just select which type of web conferencing system. Right now, our primary one is Zoom. You put in a start code, and then when the students are ready to join the session, or start their web browser, you'll give them the code to also start their their session within a lockdown browser. So the first step is they'll log into Zoom, and then they log into web browser, and then trying to open up the test, and then you put in the code. Not you, but they'll put in the code that you send them to either Zoom or send them a message somehow. But if you notice, there's a whole list of instructions right here for you. Okay. One thing you want to note in this case, if you're a student who's trying to use the iPad in this situation, they can't, because the iPad has just a programming limitation that they can't run both the lockdown browser and web conferencing, probably just because of real estate, because I mean the iPad screen is much smaller than a typical desktop screen. So, but it's probably also a little bit of the programming on the iPad. Okay, so I want to say that is pretty much it. As far as the advanced settings, let me take a quick peek at that. So in this case, for allow this exam to additionally be delivered in a proctored lab, which means using our testing center, in that case, because the version, it's the same version, but a little bit different license, because they're going to a lab situation. They're using the lab version of lockdown browser. It shouldn't be an issue. It's just that we just want to tell the system, like, hey, just be ready for a student coming into the non-student version instead of coming through the lab version instead. Okay. But these are kind of much on a needed basis. I would suspect in most cases what I have selected, or defaults, what has been defaulted to be selected, should suffice. And then we just click save and close. Let me scroll up. And now, required for browser, Respondus Monitor is enabled. When I come back to quizzes, this is what students will see. And so for the first step, students will have to have Respondus Lockdown Browser installed. If not, they will be presented. Let me show you. Not available. Publish. Student view. All right. So they're about to take a quiz. They have this link here for them to download the browser. So they have to have the browser open first before they can get into the quiz. Other than that, that is it. Thank you for your time.